a goatee, like
A
one of these.
goatee?
Sound like one of these, like they
I'm
logo.
saying a Ute sound like a type of bull or something. So, I don't
It's a
know.
tribe, fellas. You should
Oh,
know as a Seminole. Like this is like your brother. It's like your
hey,
cousins,
I
distance
don't know
cousins.
about no brother now. That's a little bit, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
We kicking it with Alex Markham from Utes Nation, Rivals.com. Alex, how you doing, my dude?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me on.
Now, we appreciate you for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah.
How's it going in Ute Nation, man? How's the altitude and everything out there, man? For my people head out there.
Have fun with it. I mean, here's what I can tell everybody, right? Is I got a buddy that's coming in town from Georgia, and every time he comes out here, he says he's just dying within the first 2 hours. And he's not out here even, running around being an athlete. So that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, somebody like me, I mean, I kind of sit back. It's like, I'm so used to it. It's like, how would that affect somebody? But it's pretty crazy just to see all the comments that, all the teams give over the years with just how that can affect their game. So get ready for it, get used to it. Even the fans, you're going to feel it a little bit. It's a gorgeous state, gorgeous scenery with the mountains and everything. But yeah, you're definitely going to feel the altitude.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping on the altitude. I know it's not like Denver, but it is a thing. You guys' home record kind of reflects that it is some type of advantage out there. And Kyle Whittingham does have a good team. What is before I get into the X's and O's and into some of the science of all of this? What is the health? And I'm sure everybody wants to know this of Cam Rising. Where we at with it?
Yeah, so they didn't allow media into practice this year. It's been that way for a few years now. They also don't really talk about injuries. Even if I hear something, if I was to fully talk about it, they'd rip my credentials from me. But when it comes down to it, I mean, what I can tell you guys is, the timeline has really kind of stayed the same ever since Whittingham started talking about it in the spring, where they were hoping to get him cleared within 7 to 10 days before camp. I mean, before the home opener.
Right.
And from there, all the updates were remaining the same. I know that there hadn't been any setbacks or anything like that, but they've really kind of stayed mum on it. I don't think he necessarily thinks it's a gamesmanship thing. I think it's just a habit thing that he's kind of done over the years. And why show my hand if I have to? But Cam is the type that, so it's not up to Cam. It's not up to the team trainers. It's up to the surgeon that actually did his surgery. And so it's going to have to deal with seeing an MRI as well as doing some on-field tests is what I've been told. If he can get that cleared, I know Cam is the type that's going to want to be out there and playing. I know that there's going to be others just sitting back saying like, "Hey, man, like, look, you're cleared, but let's give this 3 weeks." And it's nothing to say anything bad about Florida whatsoever, right? It's just Utah sees what's important. It's the last year of the Pac-12. They have a chance to go out as three-peat champions, something that hasn't been done in the Pac-12 before. And so it's about looking at the big picture more than anything else.
Yeah, y'all caught these hands last year and still won the pack, so y'all can do that again this year.
You know what? Like all credit to Florida on that game. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen a Utah defense play. A lot of that had to do with Richardson. A lot of it also had to do with just the fact that Utah and plenty of teams, they don't play those caliber games to start the season, right? A lot of teams play cupcakes, and so when it came down to it, Utah really kind of realized they weren't doing enough live work. They weren't doing enough tackling, with their starters and second string, and that's an adjustment they've made this year for better or for worse. I mean, just like Florida, Utah's dinged up, from fall camps, so it's going to be interesting.
And what's the prognosis on the tight end who caused us a lot of hell last year? Brent Kuthi. Am I saying his last name right?
Keithy. I would say there's a better likelihood of Cam playing than Keithy. Not that you guys are gonna sleep easy on it, because I'll tell everybody right now, go and Google, do YouTube highlights of Thomas Yasmin. That's Yassmin. MIN, and the dude's a nightmare. He's 6'5", about 260, 265 pounds, and the dude can move, and he is violent. He grew up playing rugby, So yeah, I would put the odds on Cam playing higher than Keithy, just from everything I'd kind of been hearing over the last week or so.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I figure it's next man up. I respect Utah's roster and their development, what they got going on over there. But he did cause us some hell last year. So we'll see what he's
He's a
about this.
nightmare. He's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nightmare.
How do you feel about the backup? I know you had Brandon Rose, who went down with an injury. I think Kyle Whittingham is nuts for going, full fledged tackling his quarterbacks in camp. But you lose Brandon Rose, and now it's Bryson Barnes or Nate Johnson, who's going to be the backup quarterback. What's the feel on both of those guys?
So a few things on this, So like I said, I can't really talk about injury stuff.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay, okay.
one. Well, no. So
I don't think
one
Kyle
thing.
listening, so you can get that off, bro.
Right. One thing I will say about it though is, this is to defend Kyle on this. What I've been told is, as cool of a myth as it is that your defense knocked out a backup quarterback, and all reports are and it's been online, like a punctured liver, right? But anyways, within all that stuff, what I've been told is it was a fluke thing where he fell on the football wrong. And then I don't know if somebody fell on top of him or what, right?
Mm.
So just I only mentioned that portion just to at least defend Whittingham a little bit, But I mean, Utah's a physical team. I mean, they have a physical nature. You can't really kind of take that out of the guys. You got to keep that going. So unfortunately, there were injuries. That whether the guy is actually playing the game or not. Just were the negative downside to that. When it comes to the guys that are in the thick of the competition now, so Rose came out of spring as the number 2, but the thing is Nate Johnson, who was Cam's change of pace guy last year, and a hell of a talent with the change of pace with his running. He had gotten hurt in the spring and missed a bunch of it, and so because of that, he was behind. Everybody was really kind of looking forward to seeing his gains over spring. Those gains didn't really happen until Rose had gotten hurt, and it was just down to him and Bryson Barnes. So I would say within the last 2.5 weeks, the gains that Nate Johnson has made have been extremely impressive. I've heard reports. Okay, we all know how like any of this stuff can kind of get twisted, but I've heard reports that he threw a 65-yard completion in the air in practice within the last 7 days. And so you throw that into the mix along with his legs. He's lethal. He's dynamic. I would say his floor is Bryson Barnes' ceiling, but at the same time, too, what Bryson Barnes can do is he's got a high football IQ. He can come in and run the offense flawlessly, and with it, if as long as he stays within the game plan, Utah should be fine. It's when he starts to try to make some of the more daring throws, where if you go back and you watch their game against Washington State last year, granted, he started that game. He didn't know until, just minutes before pretty much that he was starting. So it wasn't like he prepped as a starter all week. But if you go back and you watch that film, I mean, when you got a tight end like Dalton Kincaid and some of the guys that they have getting open constantly in the middle of the field, but you're choosing to throw it to in between the hashes to the sidelines. I mean, you do that against Florida, and you're going to get a pick six. You're going to get 2 pick sixes on you. So that's my concern with Bryson, but he has the big game experience, and yeah, it's you fans are holding their breath that Cam can be playing.
Okay. Yeah, I think the approach to this, if in my opinion, right, Florida's a brand new offense, and I think that was our advantage last year to you guys is we had film to study on of tendencies with Cam Rising and the entire offense. I want to know what you think Utah's approach will be to a totally different offense. I don't think there's really a blueprint out there, any game film to how Billy Napier is going to use Graham Mertz and the new guys that he have on that offense. So what do you think the approach will be? Just loading the box?
Yeah, Utah's honestly, not sounding like a homer or anything like that. Utah's got a pretty stacked defense, where they don't hesitate. I mean, their defensive system is going straight man to man for the most part. When they have enough experience in the secondary, they have that experience. So yeah, it's enough to really make it so the front seven can focus on that box. Utah can put enough pressure on them. We'll still put enough pressure on Mertz and be paying attention to the elite runners that you guys have, right? Etienne and Johnson, and just letting the DBs do what the DBs do. They have a lot of confidence in their secondary.
What's
Now
the
with what's up?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like with Utah, I mean, they have enough confidence that when they can rely on that, you're gonna see a lot of stunts and blitzes, and just again disguising the coverages and trying to bring that heat and try to make them uncomfortable. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun matchup to watch.
No doubt. I like our size advantage. It's going to be like I just got a lot of respect for Utah and Kyle Whittingham's program, and what they've been able to build out there. So I know it's going to be a fight. It don't matter who the quarterback is. It's going to be a 4-quarter game. What does Utah have to do to get a win and leave out of the with a dub, in your
Yeah.
opinion?
Defense just needs to play like a Utah defense, and that did not look like a Utah defense in that first game. It's funny. I actually made a comment on a podcast last night with Anthony Beck through the Florida stuff with you guys that you look back at Mo Diabate's first game with Utah, and that was one where it's like when he ended up going after Richardson on that, I believe it was the 2-point conversion, right?
Oh, what
And
a
went
play,
for that
man.
pump fake. Yeah,
Yeah.
went for that pump fake when he had already started launching at him, right? Goes for the pump fake, throws his arms up in the air, and just totally screws things up. That is not Utah football. That is not Utah tackling. If you would have seen that guy towards the end of the season, I mean, there's a reason why he, even though he went undrafted, made the 53-man roster for the Browns. I mean, the guy is
Right.
he was a night and day different player towards the end of the season. So getting back to that question, I just wanted to throw some Florida relevancy in on that part, right? For comparison's sake. But Utah just needs to play Utah defense. They strongly believe that this defense is one of the best they've ever had. I know Utah's defensive coordinator. He was talking with former All-Pro Eric Weddle, that went to Utah, and they're good friends. Anyways, Weddle let it slip that Morgan told him that he believes that this defense can rival the defense of 2019, that a lot of people strongly believe is the best defense Utah has ever had.
We're gonna
Offensively,
definitely test that, Mark. We definitely gonna try that out with Montreal Johnson, Etienne, and these young receivers for sure.
yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's going to be a fun matchup, man. And you guys have the running backs to soften the defense, and then you know go from there with the pass game. But offensively, really, and I can kind of see this being the same approach with Rising if he's able to go. Just because knowing that he's most likely not going to be 100%, right?
Right.
So with any of these guys, what Utah is really going to need to rely on is the quick passing game, hurry up offense, and really kind of focus on hammering Florida with Jaquindon Jackson when they can, getting his backup, who shouldn't even be considered a backup. He's a stud. Mekhi Bernard out of the backfield to keep them on their toes with the pass game as well. Utah's strengthened their receiving core this year. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you guys, when I mentioned Thomas Yasmin, seriously, YouTube that guy's highlights. He made USC's defenders look stupid, absolutely stupid on a
Yeah,
few plays.
I'm gonna check him out. I'm also concerned about my star position in the slot. I know you guys have some really good guys that run out of the slot. So that's my concern right there. If we can stop the run and make it, if it's whoever the quarterback is, and also my concern too is us setting the edge if it's Nate Johnson. He's a 10-5 100-meter guy. So if he breaks contain, he could take it to the
He's
crib.
blazing fast. Yeah.
Correct. So just controlling the trenches, I think, will be okay. Just keeping the quarterback in the pocket, making them make throws, and not depend on that run game out there is my keys to the game for my defense. Offensively, just run the ball. Do a little bit of what we did last year. The guys that we bringing back with ETN and Montreal Jordan were playing their first game as a Gator, and they went for like 139 together, I believe. Get a little bit of that. I think they went like 97 yards after contact. So just breaking some tackles. I know you say you guys worked on that, but the keys to the game for me on offense is running the ball, play action off of that with Graham Mertz. We got Ricky Pearsall, who I think is a matchup nightmare for anybody one-on-one. But then you mix in some of the young boys at receiver with Eugene Wilson, who I think is going to have a big first game right out the go. I think they're going to find a way just to put the ball in his hands in some type of fashion. But Aiden Mazzell, Andy Jean, some of those young boys are going to, flash and make some big plays off of the play action. But that's my keys to the game for the offense and defense. What do you got for a score there, Alex?
For a score. So last night,
Hey, Alex, no more friendly shit. Tell them what the score gonna be.
So I mean, last night I'll tell you, I picked 31-20. With something like that, some people might sit back and say like, well, what the hell if Cam's not playing? How are the backups going to put up those points? I strongly, I told you what the plan should be. Within that, if you guys can't stop the run, and Jaquindon Jackson, I'm telling you guys, is a damn nightmare. He was a former 4-star quarterback, all of a sudden made the transition last year when Utah was going through running back turmoil. He's 6'2", 228, and he can fly. Anyways, if Utah can,
I got one more before you get to the score. Freshman offensive tackle that you have out on the edge. And he took a veteran guy's spot. So how confident are you in the freshman offensive tackle?
What's funny with that, so I got a stats guy, okay, and he's very big into the quantitative analysis, and he's usually pretty accurate. You guys are actually going to like his stuff because he's pretty high on Florida when it comes out. But, he was trying to say how he was down on the fact that, and he looked at it negatively, that Utah has a true freshman starting at offensive tackle. I mean, that's the thing. Utah's deep on the line. They had a healthy competition there. He beat everybody out. He's up to over 300 pounds now. He's athletic. He was one of the top offensive linemen in the entire country in the first place. He arrived in spring. That did wonders for him. And I wouldn't expect you guys to know this name, but Jordan Gross, I believe he's in the Ring of Honor for the Carolina Panthers. He was a true freshman starter for Utah, and Whittingham evoked his name in practice recently. And that's something that you don't hear very often. That's one of the highest praises that a Utah offensive lineman can get, that plenty of offensive linemen can get. So Utah is extremely high on him and confident in what he would be able to do.
All right. Let's get this score, Alex.
Yeah.
You already said 31-20.
Well, yeah. 31-10. And the reason I'm going that.
31-10.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. 31-20. Why did I say that? I'm sorry. 31-20. Yeah, 31-20, right? And the reason why is I do think that altitude's going to hit them. Utah's got a physical defense. I think that Florida's going to have a rough time with them on that. I think they're going to do just enough to stop the run. And when it comes down to it, I really see Utah having success in that run game and wearing them down. And then when the third quarter hits and they're about halfway through it, that's when Florida's going to get gassed, and that's when Utah is going to start putting on more points. So really, it's Utah's physicality, their depth, and the altitude that
my Gators.
That's where I'm going.
You got my Gators all lost in the sauce a little bit there, man. Physicality, y'all not. I like y'all. I like how y'all get busy with in the physical part of the game. But Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks, the guys we brought in the portal. I know we outsized y'all like big time. Last year we was running Gervon Dexter and Watson. We didn't have no depth at defensive tackle, so it's going to be a little different vibe when it pertains to that run defense. I think we could go 3 deep and not lose a whole lot of drop-off when it pertains to defensive tackle. It's a different defensive tackle room.
I'll tell you this. Be careful of making that prediction, because I made that prediction last year with Utah's defensive tackle depth.
Yeah.
The week before the game. So Utah had 6 legit guys on the defense tackle group that were studs, right? That could start at a lot of P5 teams. Well, one of them left the team a week before Florida. 2 of them that were brothers had some family stuff going on, and they were burned out, and they ended up quitting right after the Florida game. And so, I mean, that tells you they were already
Don't you
checked
wish
out.
that
So,
on me, Ricky Bobby?
dude, it's hey, I'm just saying, be careful. I had to go on that podcast last night that I was on last year when I was talking about it, and eat my crow. So Utah's absolutely stacked on the defensive line as well. So that's going to be a fun position battle, just to see which group does better against the other team's offensive line, man. So
Yeah. That's what it comes down
it's
to.
going to be fun.
All right,
You
Alex.
know who I'm looking forward to seeing with you guys too is the fact that you guys got that true freshman starting at safety. So that says a
Jordan
lot.
Castell from the 407, man. Out
Yeah.
of Orlando. He a dog. He beat out some veterans as well. I know you got your offensive tackle, but he beat out R.J. Moten, the veteran transfer from Michigan. We had 5-star Kamari Wilson that was battling for that spot as well. He beat him out. I like dude a lot. I predicted this, so it's not like Jordan Castell like came on the scene. But for the people that listen to my content, they know on Stadium Miguel, I've been singing his praise. And I thought if it not happened the first game, early in the season, Jordan Castell was going to take somebody's spot. I think the same thing going to happen in the wide receiver room as well, but we'll sit a couple games and let it play out. Alex, before we get you out of here, man, as quick as you can, because I know we got people in the chamber, and I don't want to be on the Gator part of the show too long. What is your from a Utah fan's perspective? You're a little bit involved in the Swamp Kings. What was your overall thought of Swamp Kings?
It was great, but also like the Johnny Manziel one. I mean, they didn't dig deep enough. I mean, there's plenty of things that they could have dove deep on. They made it a little bit more of a rosy picture, but it was crazy, just to kind of see some of the similarities on some of those things. Ahmad talks about, and this is a great example. Okay, so Ahmad talks about Urban's doubt in him. Well, Urban also doubted Eric Weddle, who went on to be an all-decade NFL player. He's going to be a future NFL. He's going to be a future NFL Hall of Famer. Won a ring. It's famously out there that Kyle Whittingham had to fight so hard for Urban to take him because Urban didn't think he was good enough and didn't want him, and told him it was on him if Weddle turned out like crap. And Weddle ends up being one of Urban's all-time favorite players, one of the guys that put him in that position with that perfect season to be able to make that move out there. And another funny thing to it, everybody makes a big deal about that jump pass, right? That was not the first time, so let me correct that. That was this might have not even been the first time. Who knows if it happened to Bowling Green when he was out there, right? But Ben Moa, he played tight end and a little bit of running back sometimes for Utah. He did the jump pass to beat Air Force. I want to say it was 2003, not 2004. And that was, I mean, Ute fans were as floored with that as Gators and everybody else was when Tebow did that back in the day. But it was a fun thing to watch. I have a soft spot in my heart for Urban Meyer, even though I know that he's burned plenty of bridges. And I mean, it was pretty cool to see. Ute fans. It obviously worked out well for Gators fans and Ute fans, right? Because I mean, who's going to complain with the success and the longevity of Kyle Whittingham? And then you guys get the rings.
Yeah, it all worked out. I don't have no complaints toward Urban Meyer, bro. Wish he was a little bit more accountable towards the end, like the accountability he was asking from the players. Like sometimes I think he should have been just as accountable. But when it's all said and done, bro, I got two national championships to celebrate. I seen the confetti fall. You know what I'm saying? I was there a little bit, so I enjoyed it.
Would you say he got successful too fast? I mean, that's one of the things. Like when I was watching that,
he was successful
that's
for
one
a
of
long
my
time,
things.
though. I mean, it probably like he got successful quick, even at Utah. Like his rise was just so fast, so he rose fast, and we got to get it going here. But he rose fast at Utah. We hire him on. They bring him into the SEC. Everybody said it wouldn't work. He wins 2 natties. Fakes a health condition. Goes to Ohio State and wins there as well. And then he had more controversy, ends up at Jacksonville, and then that's where he just couldn't win that because it was just, too out of his control as far as not being a recruiter and all that. But, hey, Alex, appreciate you for hanging out with us. No good luck on Thursday.
Hey, I got to tell everybody that's going to be out there, enjoy that altitude.
Already.
31-10.
All right, take care, guys. What's that?
31-10.
No, 30. Well, I'll take it,
Don't
but
do
30,
it.
31-20. That was a little stiff there.
I got some
31-20.
fans in these comments that can come see Bach.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Thank you.
Already. All right, before we move on to the LSU writer real quick, give me y'all score prediction.